Good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know in the comment box if you can hear me. All right, thank you. So today is the 5th day of our Terraform, the 5th day of our 10 days Terraform training. Yesterday we covered we created our GitHub account. We created a GitHub repository and we cloned it. Then we also set up the Terraform backend management, which we use S3 for that. And then we also set the Terraform remote state locking to lock our Terraform state so that two people will not be able to run the Terraform script at the same time in order to prevent the Terraform state file from being corrupt. So today we will continue from where we stopped. Today we are going to look at how to use data source to fetch information from the AWS account. And also we're going to look at how to create and use Terraform modules. Then finally, we will look at Terraform Lifecycle metadata, which includes the create, which include the create before destroy, and prevent destroy. Then we will look at the last one, which is ignore changes. So without wasting much of your time, let's get started. So the first thing I want to do, if you are working in a team and you push your code to the repository let's say in previous day, and you want to start working with it today, the first thing you need to do, you need to make sure that you clone the initial repository so that you can be sure that you have the current you are working with the current code. So the first thing I want to do, I need to change my repository, my branch, to the main branch, because currently I'm in the Terraform branch, and we've already merged these branches. We already merged this branch to the Terraform main repository or main branch. So I need to switch to the main branch using git checkout main. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do git stash. I don't really need those changes that was made. Git stash. So that was stash. Then I will now switch git checkout main. Now I'm inside my main branch. So what I need to do now is to do git pull to pull the main branch. To put the main branch in my desktop on my local repository so that I can start working with the main branch. And you can see that the main branch has some code added to it. So I've copied the whatever that has been added to the main branch. I've copied it. So now I have the current or updated repository. So I will be working with the updated repository now. And now that I have the updated repository, the next thing for me to do before I start modifying the main file is to create another branch. So to create another branch, I just need to do git checkout dash b, then the name of the branch that I want to create. I will name this branch Lifecycle. Let me name it Terraform data source. Let's just call it the Terraform Data Source. So now I'm working with the Terraform Data Source. So working with the Terraform Data Source. So how does the data source works? If you already have a data on the AWS and you want to bring the data to your local file in your Terraform configuration, then that is when you use the local, you use data to fetch resources from the from your repository, from your cloud environment. So the first thing I can always say is that you need to have the Terraform file. You need to have the Terraform documentation opened, and I will open the Terraform documentation together with my AWS account. So I need to log out from here so that I make sure I'm using the correct AWS account. So I'm logging to my AWS account for the training. And I'm putting my password. So I get the key. I need to set up my environment by copying this key, then go to my desktop and go to my VS Code, open the VS Code because the key that we're using before has expired. So we need to get a new key. So the VS Code, I can modify the key by going to the AWS configuration file. Then I'll need to delete the one that I have there before and create a new one. So I just need to copy the code again, go to window, copy from window, then just paste it here. Then all I need to do is to save this. So whenever you change your access key, you make a configuration, the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you run Terraform init-reconfigure to make sure that your new access key is will now be used. So the access has been configured. So now it's time to start the configuration proper. So I need to go to my EC2. So the data that I want to bring from the desktop, the resources that I want to bring from the desktop is my key pair. Currently, I don't have a key. So, and I have some key created directly on my console, which I would like to use. So let me show you what I mean. So for instance, let me show that we have a key on the console. I don't want to use Terraform to manage. I don't want to use Terraform to manage this key because I don't want to push the key. I don't want to push the key in the console. So there are some times that you already have some resources, or you just prefer to create some resources directly in your local environment. So I have some key here, and I want to make use of this key. So the best way for me to do is to query this key from Terraform. So I'll be using data to get this key so that I can make use of that key. So what I will need to do now is from here, let me go down one step. I want to put it here. I just need to specify data here that if you go to the Terraform script, go to Terraform documentation. If you go to the Terraform documentation, and go to registry, provider, AWS, documentation. So under the documentation, if you go to key, which is key management, this is the key management, KMS. So under the KMS, just go to the data source. Then you can call by any of these. You can call by the, you can call by the key name, or you can call by the alias. So I'm going to be calling the key by the alias. All I just need to do is to copy this, then go back to my VS Code, paste it here. So this is the key that I want to call. This is the key that I want to, oh, no, not this. Let me see. I think the one I want to call is, sorry, is under EC2, not that. I actually want to call key pair, not KMS. It's key pair, not KMS. So it's going to be AWS key pair. So I'm going to call this key pair. So this is the key pair that I need, not the initial one that I copied. So I'm going to paste it here. So this is what I need. I don't really need to use everything. I can filter, but I just want to use the key pair. I just need the key name. So I will need to go to my AWS and get the key name that I want to use. So I need this key. So I'm just going to copy the name. So I will specify the key name in my configuration. So what this simply means is that I'm using data to query the data, the AWS key pair data to query my AWS account, and it's going to get me the key pair that bears this name, which is YouTube-key2. So that's what it's going to get me. I'm going to change this. I'm going to just call it key pair. So if you want to see what the key pair is going to bring back, you can put an output. You can have a repository called output.tf. So inside the output.tf, what we want to see is we want to see the results of our configuration or our deployment. So inside the output, I can specify that I want to see data dot, let me go to the data file, to the EC2, and call these two names. So I want to see the results of the data.aws-key-pair.key pair. Then you can say you want to see everything, or you want to see a particular thing. So this is the value I want, but to do this, to use this value, you need to say output. Then you specify the name of the output. I'm going to call it, the name of the output is key pair ID. So the key pair ID, you can get the key pair ID or the key pair name. But the first thing I actually want to get is, let me get the whole key pair, so that once I get the key pair, I will now know how to make use of the key pair. So what this simply means is that I have a key that I'm querying the key from AWS account. And when Terraform pull the keys on my AWS, pull that particular key from my AWS account, I want to see what Terraform pull, so that from whatever Terraform pull, I want to select a specific attribute from that whatever Terraform pull. So for me to see the attribute that I can select, that is why I put all of this information here, which is going to reference the block where the pull will happen. It's going to reference the block where that pull is going to happen. And if you go to your Terraform documentation as well, if you scroll down under attributes, so all of these attributes, those are the information that Terraform will pull back. So you can make use of any of these attributes by appending it to the full configuration. So if I want to see if Terraform if I want to see just the ID, I can go back to the Terraform script and just append .id to this one. If I want to see the ARN, I can go back here and append the ARN. But for now, what I actually want to see, I want to see the whole thing that Terraform is going to bring back. So if I run this code now with Terraform plan, so I have an error in AWS instance example. On my EC2 online. Okay, I have the key here, so I'm going to remove this for now. So I will do plan again. I actually want to see what Terraform is going to bring back so that I will select what I need. And actually what I just need from that key data, from that data block, is just the ID or the ARN. So if you look at this is the ID, I mean, this is the output that I'm getting back from AWS. And you can see from the output, I have the ARN, you give me the ARN, you give me the created time, which I don't need, you give me some filter, which I don't need, and it also gives me the ID. Then you give me the key name, then you give me the key name ID as well. So what I actually need is the key name. So I'm just going to copy the key name, then go back to the Terraform. So now if I go to my output, if I want to see, okay, I just want to see the key name, I can just append the key name here. So instead of showing me everything, it's just going to show me just the key name as an output. So let's see again. And you can see now, the other time it showed me everything that is coming back from that data source, I mean data block. But because I specified that I actually just want to see the key, and it's now providing me just the key name. So I'm good with all of this. I'm just because since this value is giving me the key name, the whole of this value is giving me the key name. So I can just copy this value now, then go to my EC2. Go to my EC2. Wherever I need the key name, I will just put, so here, I need the key name here. I need the key name here, so I'll just put this value. So this gives me the key name. Instead of me hard coding my key name here, I'm pulling the key from the AWS. So with this, I can run my Terraform, like Terraform plan. So one thing about Terraform is that there are some configuration that if you make changes to some configuration, Terraform will want to destroy that resources. But there are some another change from another resources that Terraform will not destroy the resources. It will just want to do what is called a replace in place. So let me show you what that means. Before I add this key, let's comment this key out and let's deploy this instance. Let's deploy the instance first, then go back after that and try to add this key. So what Terraform we want to do then is to first destroy whichever one we did before by then created a new one. So what I do now is that I comment that key out. So I'm deploying this EC2 without a key pair. So when I deploy the EC2, if I should deploy this EC2 without a key pair, then that means I will not be able to SSH into the resources from clients, from external SSH clients. So I will go ahead and do Terraform apply. And say yes. So while this resources is creating, we can go to the AWS account and see if it's actually created. So let's go to our AWS account under instance and look at it. The resources is actually created, and this is the resources running. So now it has created and the resources is running. So, and these resources, if you go to the AWS account and open this, it's not using any key pair. If you go under the key, you will not see any key pair. As you can see, there is no key. We didn't attach any key to this instance. So that way, if we want, we cannot access this EC2 now from outside of AWS. So for us to be able to access this EC2 from our VS Code like this, then we need an SSH key. We need a key pair to be attached to this instance. So now let's go back and try to attach a key. So I'm going to attach this key back. So now I've had the key to this instance. So what the instance, what Terraform we want to do now is that because we are attaching a key after the resources has already been created, Terraform we want to terminate that resources. Terraform we want to terminate that resources. And if Terraform terminate their resources, it will now add the key and create a new one. And you can see Terraform wants to destroy the resources because you cannot add a key to a resource that is already running. The only time that you can add a key to a resource that is running, if you are using Terraform, is while you are creating it. If you already created our resources, then you cannot use Terraform to add a key to it. If you want to add the key, you have to terminate that resources and create a new one. And that is exactly what Terraform is trying to do here by specifying that because we are adding a new key, so it's going to force what is called a false replacement. It's going to do what is called a false replacement. And a false replacement will terminate the resources that is there already, then it will now create a new one. Then once it creates the new one, it will now make use of the key that we put there. That is fine. But the problem with this is that Terraform will first destroy that resources before it creates a new one. What happens if this is the only server that is serving our customer or our clients? Do we want them to leave? Do we want to leave them without any instance? Which is absolutely no. You might want Terraform to first. You might want Terraform to first create a new one before Terraform destroy the old one. But by default, what Terraform is going to do, Terraform will destroy before it creates. But what we want is for Terraform to create. We want Terraform to create before it destroys. We want Terraform to create before it destroys. But what Terraform is trying to do is destroy, then create. So in order for you to prevent this, in order for us to prevent destroy before create, in order for to prevent something like this, which is called destroy before create, we want to change it to something like create before destroy. But Terraform do not have destroy before create. What Terraform has is what is called create before destroy. But by this default, create before destroy is false by default. It's false by default. So that is why Terraform will first destroy before it creates. So if you want to prevent that so that Terraform can create before it destroys, then we just need to change this to true. We need to change this to true, that wait, Terraform, before you destroy, make sure you create. But if you do not specify it to be true, Terraform will first destroy and then create later. So how do we specify this in our configuration? What you need to do is to go to whichever resources that Terraform wants to destroy and go down and do what is called a Terraform Lifecycle. And inside that Terraform Lifecycle block, just specify there that create before destroy, you want it to be true. So this time around, Terraform will not destroy first. It will first create a new resources before it destroy the old one. So that way, we don't leave our clients without any server to work with. So if I go ahead and do Terraform plan, though you may not see any changes in this configuration, but if you do Terraform apply, I'm going to do Terraform apply, I'm going to do dash auto approve so that it doesn't come back and ask me whether to proceed or not. I just want to give it to proceed by default. Now let's go to our AWS and see what is going to happen. So if you go to the AWS and refresh, go to the instance, you will see that Terraform will first try to create another resources. You can see another resources is already started creating before this one is not even started deleting, but the first resources is getting created first. But if you have not do that changes, Terraform will first start from here. It will first destroy this before it creates a new one. So, but because of the changes that we did, you can see Terraform, after it finished creating a new one, that is when it started destroying the old one. And if you go to the new one we have our key, the key that we configured. Look at the key here. So this is Terraform Lifecycle, which is called create before destroy. And you might want to use this in some of your configuration to just make sure that before Terraform destroy a particular resources, you want another resources to be already running. So that way you don't be without any instance at all. So another one that I also want to show you is what is called Terraform prevent destroy. Terraform prevent destroy, and this is to prevent somebody from accidentally deleting your resources. Just imagine if you have a very important resources that you don't want anybody to destroy, and because somebody is not looking proper and is just trying to destroy the resources that he created, and because of that, if you do Terraform destroy, then Terraform is going to block that particular resources from being destroyed. Now look at it now. For instance, if I should try to delete all of these resources, and inside my S3 bucket, which is the backend configuration, inside the S3, which is serving our backend, then I can come inside the S3 bucket and put a lifecycle there. The lifecycle can be in any resources. Then inside this S3, I put prevent destroy, and I put it to false, to true, so that somebody will not go and destroy my S3 bucket that I'm using for the backend. So with this now, with this prevent destroy, if somebody that do not check the S3 bucket and see that it is actually being used for the backend, maybe the person is just working with EC2, then you're like, okay, let me just destroy this EC2. Immediately he tried Terraform destroy. Immediately it's tried Terraform destroy. Terraform is going to tell you that, wait, we have a prevent destroy. You see, it says instance cannot be destroyed. So automatically, this person will now know that, okay, something is wrong here. Then and the system tells it where that particular thing, where that particular resources that cannot be destroyed is located. And AWS also give a very, Terraform also give a very clear instruction that this resources has a life cycle dot prevent destroy. So here, that is the Terraform prevent destroy. We have Terraform Terraform create before destroy, and we have another one which is Terraform, which is prevent destroy. The third one is what is called ignore changes. Ignore changes. And ignore changes is normally used when you want to apply changes to Terraform, or you want to do Terraform apply, but there are some changes that wants to happen and you don't want those changes to occur. Then you can tell Terraform to ignore those changes. Let me show you what I mean here. If you go to the EC2 instance, for instance, and let's try to bring let me see where this can fit in. Okay, look at the here. Let's say, for instance, we want to add, or let's say we go to the console. Maybe somebody from the console, go to the console, somebody that is working in our team, go to the console, and he manually had another tag. The person manually had another tag to our resources. Let's say he called this tag cost center, and the cost center, let's say, is development team. So somebody manually had this to our Terraform from the console. Then if you go to the Terraform scripts, and let's say you run Terraform, let's say on what you actually want to do on Terraform, we want to change our T2 micro from the EC2. We want to change the T2 micro, or we want to change the T2 micro to T2 medium. If you are changing T2 micro to T2 medium, Terraform is going to stop that resources and start it again. But I don't want Terraform to stop these resources. What I can do, let's change something else. Let's say we want to change the tagging of the EC2. And let's say we want to add cost center to this as well. Cost center is equal to development. Now look at this. I added cost center to be development here, but somebody, instead of going to the Terraform S3, instead of going to, okay, I did that on the EC2. Let me do the same thing on the S3. The one I did it on EC2. So let me do this on S3. So I'm having a Terraform cost center to my S3 bucket. But the person that is managing the EC2, instead of that person to also come here and add the cost center to be EC2, to be development from here, but the person go to the console and added it. So if I don't want to ensure that the person's changes get deleted, because if I run Terraform plan, Terraform we want to terminate, Terraform we want to remove the changes that the person did from the console. But if I don't want Terraform to tamper with what changes or the changes that the person did from the console, I can tell Terraform to ignore that changes. Look at it. Because this person added this thing directly from the console. So Terraform is now saying, hey, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to change it to none. But I'm not the one that do this. Let's say somebody else do this, and I don't want I don't want to cancel what the person has changed. I just want Terraform to ignore these particular changes so that Terraform can only run my own change, which I did from the Terraform script. Then that is when I can use Terraform ignore changes. So how do you use the Terraform ignore changes? Whichever the resources that wants to do the changes, which is EC2, instance here, I just need to go inside that EC2 instance and tell Terraform on that same life cycle to tell it to ignore changes. And when you are using ignore changes, you have to put it in a bracket. And whatever you want to ignore, you have to put it inside that bracket. So what I want to ignore here, and whatever you are trying to ignore has to be an attribute. It has to be an attribute. So the attribute that the person make that changes from is the tag attribute, is the tags, because that is what the person actually changed from the console. So I can tell Terraform to ignore these changes which happens on the console by coming inside the ignore changes and put the attributes here, attribute block tag. So Terraform will ignore whatever changes that is done to the tag on EC2 instance. So if I go back to my Terraform now and do Terraform plan, Terraform will now see this as, okay, they have instructed me to ignore the changes that occur on EC2, then I'm only just going to do my own changes. And you can see here now that Terraform has ignored the changes from EC2, which we had initially. But the only changes that Terraform wants to do now is the changes that we have in the S3. So I can now say Terraform proceed by saying Terraform apply. And when I say Terraform apply, Terraform we want to apply these changes. Then I will say, okay, go ahead, apply that by saying yes to the confirmation. Say yes. So you can see now Terraform has applied the changes. If I run Terraform plan now, it's not going to show me, it will see that everything is perfect. But if I go to the EC2 instance and I remove that ignore changes, anytime you do Terraform apply again, it will want to apply that changes. You want to remove it. So if I go back to Terraform now and comment this out, comment out is also the same thing like removing it. So if I comment this out and I run Terraform plan, Terraform will now see that changes that the person made directly from the console, and it will want to delete that changes because that changes is not in the Terraform state file. And anything that is not in the Terraform state file, Terraform will believe that it needs to delete it, that it doesn't exist. And you can see Terraform have seen it again, and it wants to delete it. But I can go back here and say, you know what, I'll just leave this, don't delete it. So clear. So that is the three Terraform lifecycle that I want to talk about. The last thing that I want to show you guys is the Terraform module. How do you use Terraform module? If you have a configuration like this, and that same configuration, if you want to use it for multiple environments or for multiple resources, you can use one single configuration for multiple different environments. For instance, look at our EC2 instance. I already have an EC2 instance, and this EC2 instance, although it has some hard-coded values, but all these hard-coded values, I may change them so that they use variables. Remember, we build variable in the second day. Is it second day or third day? So I can tell it to use variable.ami. Once I put the variable.ami there, I need to go and declare the value in my variable folder, which is var ami. and the type of my AMI. I can give it description and type. The type is going to be string, and the description will be AMI for the instance. That's going to be the AMI for the instance. Now I have the AMI, so I'm not using hard-coded value, and the EC2 instance too, I want to remove that as well. And instead of using EC2 instance, I want to use variable. So I go to my variable folder and declare variable, and I call this EC2 instance type. And the name of that variable, I will copy the name, go to my EC2, and I will just put var.ec2 instance type. So, and for the tag now, I also want to remove that. The tag for my EC2, I want to remove that and call it var.ec2 instance tag. So I just need to copy the name, go and use it to form a variable block. Okay. Go and use it to form a variable block called variable EC2 instance tag. And I can name it. I mean, if I want, I will just leave it blank without putting anything there. If I want, I might put some description and some tag in there. So here, let me remove this one too to be consistent. So I have all my tagging. It's not necessary, they are not compulsory, but it's always good to have description and tag. And possibly you might also want to have default values. So for the instance type, I want to have a default value. I'm just going to put type is equal to string. Then I want to put default value. Should in case I do not provide any value, I want to use T2 micro. For the EC2 instance type, I will leave that like that. So the only thing that I want to have default value for is the T2 micro, so that will be consistent. So now that I have this value here, I can actually turn this to module, which is going to form like a baseline for every other EC2 that I need to create, either for my prod environment or for my dev environment or for my staging environments. So all I just need to do, I can move all of these resources, all of them like this. I can move them as I can move all of them, move everything. I can move them into the, let me create another file and call it module. There are two ways of creating a module. You can use AWS module, or you can create your own module. What I'm showing you is how to create your own module. I can show you how to use AWS module maybe tomorrow, because we don't have time for that today. But this process I'm showing you is how to create your own module. So the first thing I want to do, I want to create a folder called module. No, sorry. It's called mkdir module. That is, I'm creating my own module, and that folder should be here now. So I want to move all those resources that I have, move everything into the module file. So everything has been moved into the module file except this and something, but that is fine. So those are what I want inside my module file. And now that I have those resources in my module file, and actually I don't want to move all of them into the module. I don't want to move the backend and the provider, because I still need the provider. In my module, I don't really need provider in my module. So I'm going to, let me create another file called, another folder, mkdir. I'm going to call this one development environment. development environment. So inside my development environment, I want to have a provider file. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to copy the file, the provider inside module. I'm going to copy it inside the development environment. I'm also going to copy the backend, because those are the two files that I need. I'm going to copy the backend too inside my development environment. Those are the only two files that I need. And inside the module, I don't need the backend and the provider inside my module. So I'm just going to delete both of them. Delete provider, delete module.provider. I'm going to delete that. I don't need it in my module. I also don't need the backend in my module because I already get both of them. So the module should just be your normal code, which is all the code that I have here. I can use all of them as module. But what I actually want to create from this module is I just want to use the EC2 that I've already configured. I want to use it to create a module. So how do I use this? What I need to do, okay, I also need to move my terraform.tf state because I don't really need that in the module. I need to move module terraform.tf var. I need to move it into my dev environment because that is the name that I want to call it. So I have this, and this. So every other thing should be in my module. I have the EC2 in my module. I have every other thing in my module is fine. So what I want to do now is to clear the script. Let me clear this. So from the module now, from my EC2 instance, from my development environment, I need to create another file called ec2.tf in my development environment. I also need to create variable file for my development environment. But guess what I can do? Okay, I'll just create a new file, create variable in my development environment. That's variable.tf. So inside my EC2, I actually want to create this in my, let me move it. I want to create this variable in my development environment. So I'm just going to move it to my move variable to the development environment, then move the EC2 as well to development environment. So the EC2, how do I use the module for EC2? All I just need to do is call module. Then I have to specify the module name. I'll just call this one EC2 module. And one important thing, one compulsory thing that must be in your module is the source of that module. And the source that I'm using for this module is, I have the source in my EC2 here. So all I just need to do is to specify module dot, because the module is currently in the, okay, I need to go out from this current working directory, go out from the current working directory and enter into the module folder. Once we enter into the module folder, I want to use the ec2.tf inside that module folder. So this is all I just need to do to call that module. And I can add any variables that that module is using, like AMI, like Terraform instance. I need to provide values for those variables. So how do I provide values for those variables? If you go to the var AMI, I can copy this var AMI and go to my module, go to my EC2 module and put the AMI here. And whatever value that I want to give the AMI, I will just specify it here, like specifying the AMI. I can say I want to give it this value. Then what other parameter? I have EC2 instance type. I can get the variable for the EC2 instance type. And when I get here, I can provide the value for the EC2 instance type. I can say for here, I'm going to provide T2 micro. And for the subnet, which is going to be AWS subnet ID, I don't need to change that. The only one that I need to change are those that are using variables. So for the data type, I don't need to change it as well. Then for the tag 2 is using variable. Then I also need to provide values for that variable. And the tag that I want to use is called the micro is of AWS managed services. AWS managed services. Those are where I use variables. And guess what? If you still don't want to add code values here directly, what you can do is to represent all of this with variable. So you can do another variable called T2. Here you now have to give it another variable name, like T2 AMI, and give this one EC2 var.EC2 instance type, and give this one var.EC2 instance tag. So these are the very new variable name that you give them inside this where you are calling the module. So here you need to provide, since you are using variable, then you need to provide the values for those variables. And you need to declare the variables as well. So I can go to my instance. Everywhere I use variable, I will have to declare it as variable. The first name is EC2 AMI. The second one is variable EC2 instance type. And the third one is variable EC2 instance tag. So all of these, I've declared the variable. Then I need to provide values for these variables. Then I can set that value in a Terraform.tf vars, which I already have something like that here. So I can just remove all of this. If I want to still use the same value, I might say I don't declare this. I don't declare this. I don't need this, and I don't need this. So the only three that I need here, I have AMI, EC2 AMI. So I'm going to provide value for my EC2 AMI, and the value is going to be the actual AMI. I'm going to provide a value for my T2 instance type, and the value for my T2 instance type is going to be T2 micro. And the value for my tag, that is AWS EC2 instance tag, and the value is this. So I don't need this again. So those are the three that I need to provide values for. Then, so this is perfectly okay now. This is perfectly okay, because if you look, I set my variables here. That is just like a baseline configuration. And to use that variable, I need to go to wherever folder I want to use the variable from and call the variable, the module. I declare my module here. So I need to go to wherever folder that I want to use the module from then I need to call the module using source. And I need to do that in a module block. And this is my module block. Then this is the name of this block. Then I'm specifying here where I'm getting the module from. If you store your module in a Git folder, then you just need to specify the Git folder here. If you store it in another remote environment, maybe like GCP or Azure, you just need to specify the source here, the full path, like the URL. But I store my own in my local folder, and that is why I'm doing dots so that it can go out of this current working directory and go to the module directory. And now, when I configure the module, I use some variables, and those variables like AMI, EC2 instance type, and EC2 instance tag. Those variables, you need to provide values for them directly in your module, and those are what I'm providing values for here. And if instead of if you don't want to hard code the value for those variables, you can also use another variable to set their values. And that is what I'm doing here by using another variable to set the value for this variable that I'm getting from the module source. So with all of this, if I do Terraform, when you configure a new module, you need to do Terraform init to initialize that module. Okay, I need to cd inside that. I need to cd inside that development environment, then run Terraform init so that I can initialize the module. It said the module directory is not correct. Let me see. So let me say cannot read module EC2 module. Let me see if I can. EC2.tf. I need to do something like this. Wait. Invalid module address. So why is it giving me that error? So I'm coming out. I'm inside here. I need to come out and access this module. Then we have the module.ec2.tf. That is perfectly correct. The directory could not be reached from module in ec2.1. Let me see. Okay. Say this directory could not be reached from module in ec2.1/1. Okay, it's talking about this. So for to use module, I might have to use a variable here too. So for the key, instead of using this, I'll just use var.key name. Then inside the variable, I have to declare the var.key name. So put another one here and say var.key name, key underscore name. That is the value I have here, key underscore name. Then inside the variable, I have key underscore name. Then when I go back to my module, I have to provide that key underscore name, then put the value here. So I can actually call it from here by saying data.aws underscore key pair underscore dot key pair key name. So I can call init again. Unable to read module directly, line 6. Cannot read module dot slash 6. Okay, say I can't read this. You can't read this module. Let me see underscore, okay. Unreadable module directory. Let me see. Okay, let me see this. No, I think we're just calling a file. Instead of calling a module, we can call just a file directly. Yeah, we can call just a file directly. Yes, that shouldn't be a problem. Something is wrong here. The directory could not be read for module. So maybe there's something still blocking. Let me see. Okay, so in this kind of case, let's see what I will do. In this kind of case, what I will do is inside the module, I will create a directory. I have to make a directory. Make directory dash p module dash EC2. So I have an EC2 folder in my module. Where is that EC2 folder that I just create now? Oh, wait, I have two modules. Okay, I will delete this. I don't think I need this one. How do I come? Let me do remove dash -gr. Remove dash -gr. I want to remove EC2 module. Okay, that one is gone. I want to, so inside this module here, I want to create inside this module here, I want to create an EC2. Then I will just move that specific folder that I need to my EC2. So I need this. Then I also need the variables. Those are the only two that I need in my EC2. So I will just now, when I get to the module, let me close all of this. So when I get to this module here, I just need to specify EC2 slash. So with this, I can call the init again. Let me remove this. I'm still having that issue. Unreadable module directory. Do I have another data source? Okay. AMI variable. I'm calling this. Okay, I need to bring this subnet to. Where is that subnet? The VPC. The VPC is there too. Maybe to read link. So go back. EC2 and EC2.tf. The module path is the problem. So the directory cannot be read from module EC2. So in this kind of situation, if you encounter this kind of situation, one way to troubleshoot this is to make sure that first, all those variables hard code their values inside your module directory. All the variables first hard code their values, and if you were able to solve it, then you know that is the value. So for instance, this is the main subnet. I will comment this out. I will comment the subnet out. I will comment the subnet out to see. So here I have my AMI, I have my instance type, I have my key pair, and I have the instance tag. So those are the only one I'm coding the value. Then every other thing is direct. So let's see again. I'm still getting that error. And the error is as a result of this module verse 6. ETF.6. Go to EC2/6. Variable.key name. Then inside the variable.key name, I have a variable that is specifying the variable.key name. I have a variable that is specifying the variable.key name. Source, internet gateway, route table, that's fine. Instance tag. Yeah, all these are correct. So what I might want to do is make sure that this value that I'm getting here, this data type, so is correct. Okay, I think I'm having an error here. AWS key pair, I'm supposed to have key here. Key pair is supposed to be here before the dot. I still have that error too. That's AWS EC2 KPI then dot KPI. Yeah, that is fine now. But the error I'm getting is from this module. And let me see. So what I'm going to do to troubleshoot this, I'm going to comment some things out and possibly see where that error is coming from. So every other thing, the bare minimum thing that I need is just the AMI and the EC2 instance. And inside here too, so let's trace the folder we are working from. And okay. So tracing the folder we're working from. Let's see. We have module here. We have EC2 instance. Go back. We have the module. I think if you look at this module, it's supposed to be dot dot, not single dot. Let me see again. Error unreadable module directory. You say unreadable. Let me see. I have the EC2 for my module. Is there any is there any other configuration that is blocking this module? No. Or do I have to? I think that S3 that is inside here. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Every other, the module folder is just going to be separate. Every other thing I'm going to move back them. I'm going to move them back to the dev account, such as the I think it cannot see, it can't see the S3 where, I mean, it cannot see the, it can't see the, I won't say it can't see it because it has already been deployed. It has already been deployed. And this two has already been deployed, so it doesn't need to see this, it doesn't need to see this. It doesn't need to see this. It doesn't need to see those ones. So we might have to end the class and come and continue troubleshooting this tomorrow. That is part of the training. But let me see what I can come up with first. I'm troubleshooting this. I've commented out all of this. So this is a 2. I have I have this. You see unreadable. Go back. It's not this. It's not our output. It's not the S3 because the S3 has already been deployed. And actually, what we have here is correct. You just can't read that module. You can't read the module. You have source dot module. Yeah, it has to go out from this directory, enter the module directory, enter EC2, and go to the EC2 file. Yeah, this has to be there. Yeah, it's seeing this module directly. Let me see, go back. Init. Unreadable module error. Let me go on Google and see likely error that might cause this. Module unreadable does not exist, cannot read. It's actually a very common error. Okay, we will convey tomorrow because of the time. Then we will resolve this tomorrow. If you guys have questions for me, you can post it in the chat. Otherwise, we will convey, on Monday. Yeah, I know it's the module that is causing the error, but this is what I do at work, so I don't know why this is actually having that issue. But I will look at it, then let us know what the error is on Monday. The module is actually everything there is actually correct. So it might just be like a syntax error or something like that. Yeah, the module is correct. Because normally the only module that we need is just this module and this EC2. It does not supposed to read every other thing. And this EC2 has, I even comment some of them out, which does not even necessarily need, like this tool does not really need, and even the keep here tool does not need to be comment out. And let's just assume that I comment this out. So with all of this, I should still be able to deploy the resources with this. And this should be able to, and I'm providing the, oh wait, there's something here that I missed. Can that be the issue? Let's test it. But I don't think that should be the issue. Yeah, that is not the issue. Yeah, that is not the issue. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to troubleshoot this later. Then we will convey on Monday and look at it. Thank you, guys.